we're going to do a special introduction for our next, we're going to end the day. I always like to end the day on a high, as you know. That's why I put our featured speakers at the end of the day. And we all know that sales is 90% mental. We can never get enough of the mental exercise. And so today, we're going to deliver another way to end this seminar. It's not going to be 3 hours like yesterday. But we are excited about this. And rather than do an introduction, we were going to show a video. And but I do want to say something going back. I mentioned yesterday that the speaker you're about to see, I had met back when I started in the seminar business. And I think Dennis, you remember our speaker here today. We went down, it was actually in Florida. We had a series. I bring in all these speakers. And this speaker had one of our highest ratings. I got to know him. And then when I got out of the business, I never touched base with him or anything else. So about 3 weeks ago or a month ago, I said, we need to end our Friday with a dynamic or a good talk, mental conditioning, what we need to listen to, just to keep our minds focused. We've been hearing a lot of information on products and data security, just a break and to end high. So I thought, well, Gary Coxe, I wonder if he's still around. So I started doing my research and I go, whoa, not only is he around, I was with him when he first got started. He's really killing it. And I was really impressed with watching his videos, so I called his office. And I said, Gary, Dan Bradley, I've talked to his assistant. His assistant forwarded my voicemail. Dan Bradley, I haven't talked to him for 30 years. He got me started in this business. So we just connected, and he actually did us a good favor by coming here today, because I had already told him. He's also sponsored by a company you all know about as we start this clip. So I'm just going to take it away and leave it all up to Gary.
Or 1-800 sandals.
This program is copywritten and no audio or video recordings are permitted. Your cooperation and integrity is appreciated.
Gary Coxe,
Personal growth expert Gary Coxe.
and we've got a real pro making $25,000 a day to get people fired up.
With us today is the author of Don't Let Others Rent Space in Your Head.
Gary Coxe started his first business when he was 11. He was making $100,000 a year as a teenager. Look at the reception Gary Coxe gets when he speaks to big corporations and at big events. He's like a rock star out there.
He's helped tens of thousands all over the world. Now, it's your turn.
Please give a warm, enthusiastic, go crazy welcome for
Y'all ready for this?
Gary Coxe.
Pleasure to be here. Let me get my microphone set up. Yeah, when Dan says we go way back, he's talking way back. Wow, and certainly a pleasure to have the opportunity to spend some time with you here today. Kind of curious, I understand that most of you, if not all of you, are in sales. How many of you have ever been to any type of a personal growth seminar or sales seminar, and when you walk away from a program like that, you usually walk away feeling bulletproof, pumped up, ready to take massive action? Yes or yes? Yeah. It's a good feeling to have, isn't it? The problem with that is psychologically most people don't know why they feel that way. We're having a lot of, there we go. The problem with that is psychologically most people don't know why they feel that way. And if you can't figure out the why, you can't figure out the how. And the how will be able to maintain that unstoppable feeling well after you leave that event. So what happens now, you'll walk away here today, if you're not careful, with what I refer to as irrational optimism. You think everybody's going to say yes to you. So you start talking to people and you get a no, then you get another no, then you get a, why don't you get a real job? If we're not careful, what happens to our unstoppable feeling now? It starts to die down. And again, psychologically, if you can't figure out the why it's going down, then you can't figure out the how, be able to stop it, turn it around, and have that unstoppable feeling well after you leave this event. So when we wrap up here today, you're going to understand psychologically why this happens, and more importantly, what you can do to control that. Would that be of value to you?
Yes.
So thanks to why, it's going to enable us to be more consistent. If we're more consistent, we typically take more action. If we take more action, we get more what? Results, and that's the bottom line, all right? So here's what I'd like to do. I want to make sure that everybody has one of these handouts. On the top right corner of the handout, you're going to see where it reads 90-day goal. I want you to write down a few 90-day goals for yourself. So what are you going to be focusing on? Now, we're going to focus a lot on business because that's what we're here for, but if you have some personal goals and you'd like to put those down, do that as well. Is there somebody who does not have a handout? If you don't have one, you might find one near you with an empty seat. You got one there? Okay, good. Somebody else had their hand up? Needed one? You, sir? You got one? You're good. Okay. So take about a minute or so and write down a few of those 90-day goals. Now, one of the reasons I want you to write down your goals is as we're going through this presentation, I want you to see how you can apply this information toward attaining your goals. So I'll give you a quick background about myself, not to bore you. If you're not familiar with my work's been seen on everything from The View, Inside Edition, Fox and Friends. I'm also a regular on one of Dr. Phil's shows, The Doctors. And any Dr. Oz fans here, I'll be doing Dr. Oz this season, so that should be a lot of fun. But the reason they bring me on these shows to work with individuals and celebrities is I work with people who have challenges, and I help them break through those challenges very quickly so they can get to the next level. But here's what I've learned about business and finances. Many people that have problems in their business and finances is a reflection of things that are stuck in their emotional hard drive. Think about that. So what that means is if you've had a lot of things happen to you in your past, you can only take your level of success to a certain level unless you clean some of that out. I'll give you an example. Now you may not be able to relate 100% to the lady I'm going to share with you here, but she went through some challenges and you'll see that it's obvious that if she didn't change them, she won't be able to get to the next level. So we'll just take about a minute on this and we'll come right back.
So we set her up with personal growth expert and life strategist Gary Coxe to see if he can help her get unstuck.
Can you tell me a little bit about the guy that abused you?
He's punched me, he's bit me. Taking care of somebody else, it fulfills me. I'm afraid to be alone.
Why are you here?
Because I want to find the strength to stand by myself and be okay with it.
You have this warped sense, most people do, so, you know, because I love somebody, I gotta go back. What is it that causes you enough emotional pain to walk away? Your stories have to change. He abandoned you.
Right.
So how can you change that story and you're no longer abandoned?
It's a good thing that it didn't last.
Yeah, it didn't work. How's that feel?
Good.
Just going through that session with Gary, how do you feel now?
I feel great. I feel happy. I feel free. And it's just so fun.
So going forward, is this going to be a new way of living for you? Looking at the world?
It absolutely is. Now I have this new skill set thanks to Gary.
And everyone out there, be sure to check out Gary's latest book. It's called How to Make Your Thoughts Disappear. You also have, if I may, a glow to you.
So this glow is what I refer to as emotional freedom. Here's a question for you. How much more success and happiness would you have if you had more emotional freedom? Think about that. Because when we have emotional freedom, we can attain so much more. Now, my programs also come to people through books and CDs and seminars. Now, when you see all this, how many think I'm going to try to sell you something today, right? All right, trust me, I will not let you down. You see, if you got a problem with me trying to close you, perhaps it means you've got too much junk renting space in your head that may prevent you from closing some of your deals. So whether you get my stuff or not is entirely up to you. But I give you my word on this. If you just take 10% of what I share with you here today, I believe it can make a massive difference, not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life as well. Now, what I share with you next, I share with you not to impress you, but to impress upon you the value of what I feel that I'm offering you and spending some time with you today. A company not long ago, they wanted me to come and spend a couple hours with them. This is the actual copy of the check they sent me, $25,000. Another company wanted me in, $19,500. You may be thinking, is this for a couple days, a couple hours? This is for 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to spend about 1 hour and 15 minutes with you here today. Now, I'm very fortunate and blessed. After pushing really hard, I do pretty well, not too bad. One of my addictions is aviation. I have a bad addiction to aviation, but I do use it for good. When Hurricane Irma came through here last year, Key West was an absolute mess. So I was able to send and fly down some relief missions down to Key West. And then some people heard about it in Puerto Rico, and then I flew down to Puerto Rico. I thought Key West was bad until I went to Puerto Rico. That place was wiped out. And then somebody here in Florida found out that I was doing that, and they said, Gary, we have 1,000 toys we'd love to have you take to Puerto Rico. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do that between TV shows and speaking engagements? I think they bought one of my books because they were so persistent. They twisted my arm and my heart. So here's what we've got here. This is one of my airplanes. This is the right seat. This is the co-pilot seat. I've never had so much Play-Doh and stuffed animals in an airplane in all my life. We stuffed 1,000 toys in that airplane. And I'll never forget the experience we had. The moment we touched down on the ground, the person from the charity and myself, the tears just came immediately. And I learned something very important from that, nothing that you don't already know. You want to make part of your life giving and contributing. Because if you don't, you're going to feel very unfulfilled. But you want to make it a way of life. And because of my addiction to aviation, I don't drive a very fancy car. In fact, what little time I have for dating, if I pick her up in my non-fancy car, I have a little disclaimer that says, honey, please don't judge a man by the car he drives, but by the jet he flies. So aviation is a definite addiction. But then I used to wonder why it is I could never get a second date when I thought the first date was amazing, and I figured out why is after the first date I would text her, you're an amazing woman. Well, the problem with that is if you have a smartphone with autocorrection, when you get to the word amazing, it's not good. Not good at all. How many of you have ever texted the wrong person the wrong text, right? Somebody needs to come up with a way to delete that. That's the worst feeling in the world. Oh my gosh. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And one of the things I do with the jet, in fact, Dan and I are talking about maybe doing something special next year for some 7 lucky people. I have a program where people meet me in Florida. I take them in the jet. I fly them to Sandals Resorts for the full day for a day of coaching. So that's kind of a lot of fun too. The next program we're doing, in fact, that got sold out. It's probably November the 29th is when we're doing our next program. Now, my life wasn't all good with all this flying around and doing all this success. In fact, when I was younger and got married, my wife and I, we had a baby. And then later on, she tells me that that baby really isn't mine. It literally felt that somebody took my heart out of my chest and ripped it out of a cheese grate on it. Then I found out, soon after all this, my grandfather and stepfather had died of cancer. And then my uncle was killed in a plane crash. I got a phone call from my mother to let me know my father had just been shot point blank in his chest and drowned in his own blood. Now, I don't share this with you to get your sympathy by any stretch of the imagination, but it is nice to know there's somebody out there who has shared similar joys in life that we have and also similar pains. But here's one thing I did learn from all this. I remember before all these tragedies, I was relatively normal. And then after all these tragedies, I became a victim of my circumstances. So I became obsessed to figure out, what can I do to make changes? How many of you here have been through some trauma in your life? Yes, I think most of us have. We can know what that means. But would you also admit, if we're not careful, it can slow us down. It can prevent us from having more love. It can prevent us from having more success. So I became obsessed to figure out, what can I do to get away from the alcohol, the medication, and all the destructive behaviors I was involved in to get to that next level. Now, I can't change my past. And one thing I used to hate people saying to me, but Gary, look at it a different way. Look at it more positive. Change the way you think. It's like, okay, great, I like that. Show me how. If you're not going to show me how, don't tell me, you can do it, change the way you think. So I became obsessed to figure out, how can I show people to change the way they think? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you a video. It's about 10 minutes long. It's kind of entertaining and a lot of fun. It's a little older, and you'll see that I'm taking a person with a major psychological limitation, and in just a matter of minutes, I'm showing them how to change very, very quickly to demonstrate to us how quick change can be made so we can have more success. All right, so sit back and relax and enjoy.
Perhaps you've heard the saying before, if you think the way you've always thought, you will always get what you've always got. It's simple, yet true. So then if we want to get something more out of life or something different out of life, many times we first must change the way we think. And the quicker we can learn to change the way we think, often, the quicker we get the results that we're looking for. As a powerful example of this, I'm recognized as one of the world's leading experts in behavior modification. And to demonstrate to an audience how quick the mind can change, I take someone who is deathly phobic and I reverse their phobia in a matter of minutes without hypnosis. Let's have some fun and watch this clip.
Do you have a specific behavior that you want to change? What is it and why? Write down why you want to change it. One of the keys to programming, for lack of a better word, yourself, is the ability to learn how to control the nervous system. Here's a very powerful point. The nervous system cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. Here's what I mean by that. I want you to imagine that my fingernails are very long, and I'm going to rub them across a dry chalkboard. Now, how many of you felt something? Show of hands. Okay? Now, how could you have felt something when there's no chalkboard? The reason you felt something, because as I shared that with you, your mind painted a picture, and the nervous system cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. That's good news for you, Christine. Here's why. Now, conventional therapy would try to bring the snake right to her and get her to work on it. It is too much, too hard. So, if I know that the nervous system cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality, I'm going to work with a pretend or an imagined snake. Isn't that easier? Or would you rather the real one? The imagined?
It's
easier. So why do we want to make it difficult? Make it easy. Friends, every time that you go out and you talk to somebody and they tell you no, what you say in your mind out loud or internally is training your nervous system. You may not realize that. You are programming yourself. I've got to train her nervous system some more. So if she goes, no problem, I got to get her to say, no problem, nice and strong. Now, I'd like her to have a little smile. Now, I know this sounds silly. I'm going to say silly little gray. Now, the reason that we want to do that is because when last she smiled about holding snake? Never. So I'm trying to create by forcing some of these emotions. Does that make sense? I'm coaching her. And that's why we all need coaches and mentors, okay? So here we go. In just a moment, not now, I'm going to bring that container that has a snake. I'm going to bring it right here. Is that a problem?
No problem.
Very good. Now, being that I don't know Christine very well, Christine, I'd like to see how you say no problem and mean it. I'm going to ask you another question. The answer you're going to give me is no problem. Christine, in just a moment, I'm going to give you $1 million cash. Is that a problem?
No problem. No way.
I've got to get her to say no problem like she did $1 million, just like for the snake. So just a moment, but not now. I'm going to bring the snake over here. Is that a problem? $1 million.
No problem.
Very good. Okay. Here we go. $1 million. Open your eyes. Ah, very good. I'm going to bring it like this, and you're going to say, oh, it's so cute.
I have to say that.
You have to say that. Because if you don't lie to your brain, you will live on page 4 for the rest of your life.
No. No trouble. No way. No.
Very good. Oh, it's so cute. Nervous system. $1 million.
Oh, it's so cute.
Very good. One more time.
Oh, it's so cute.
One more time.
Oh, it's so cute.
No problem.
Oh, it's so soft.
$1 million.
No problem.
Very good.
Oh, it's so soft.
No. That was it. You want control of your mind and emotions. Very good. Here we go. Relax. Look, look, relax. Look. Good, good, good. Look.
There you go, let me take it from you. Is this going to help you dream big? They say, and have you heard, that the more you dream big, the bigger you can continue to dream. I'm going to challenge you to take control of your mind. Okay? Come with me.
No doubt about it, it was a little different, but we got results. Have you ever had a point in your life where you feel so sure about your success, and while you're on that journey of success, and you have that burning desire to make things happen, instantly something happens, and you no longer have that desire, no longer have that motivation? I think we've all experienced that from time to time. Well, let's take a little time and talk about why that happens. Let's say that I hand you a map, and the map looks like this. I begin to tell you that off the Florida coast, there's $100 million worth of treasure, and if you can find that treasure, it's all yours. Now, my question to you is, would you have the desired motivation to find that treasure? I would think so. My next question is, what do you think are the two things that would cause you to have the desired motivation to find this $100 million worth of treasure? The answer that I often get, which is incorrect, is positive thinking and goal setting. Now, they are very important to the success process, but we need more than that. Haven't you seen people that say a lot of positive things, use affirmations, they set a lot of goals, but they never get any results? When you identify these two things, you can use them for any avenue in life. So let's identify them. The two things that will cause you to have a desired motivation to find this treasure, or any treasure, are, number one, the fact that you have a value on the treasure, and number two, the fact that you believe that the treasure is there. These are the two things and two things only that will cause you to have the desired motivation to find this treasure. Now, let's say while you're looking for this treasure, you're wondering, I can't find it. I'm wondering if maybe Gary's lying to me, or maybe it was a little senile. Now, if you decide to reward these thoughts, will you continue to have the desired motivation to look for your treasure? Absolutely not. Then you say to yourself, no, maybe that's not true, and you get those thoughts out of your mind. Now, once you remove those thoughts out of your mind, would you have the desired motivation to succeed now and keep looking for your treasure? Absolutely. That's how our minds work. And sometimes, though, it doesn't take much to have our minds altered. Your treasure, no matter what you define it as, is out there. Anytime we feel that we cannot succeed, the only thing that's been changed is the mind. That is what is altered. The treasure is and will always be out there. This altering of the mind is what I refer to as mental vertigo. The word vertigo is well known to pilots, and it simply means dizziness. When a pilot gets into vertigo, he becomes very disoriented and dizzy. Now, when we get into mental vertigo, if you will, we become disoriented and dizzy, so to speak. One moment we feel that we can attain a certain goal, and then something comes along and instantly we no longer feel that we can attain or succeed at that specific goal. How about we go inside the cockpit of an airplane and we'll understand vertigo a little further. Let's watch this clip.
To accomplish this task, we're going to use a Cessna 172. Let's take a look inside.
For a pilot to effectively fly through bad weather or clouds, they must fly by these instruments. These instruments tell a pilot everything from location, speed, altitude, and much more. They're always right as long as they're properly calibrated, so that if a pilot flies by or believes his instruments, he'll be successful in arriving to his destination. Your belief to succeed, especially if you're in sales or any kind of business, is no different. For every belief that you act on, you get a result. So you must make sure that your beliefs are ones that will get you greater results. They're like these instruments. If these instruments are not properly calibrated, if they're off just a few degrees, it can actually take a pilot hundreds of miles off course. Likewise, if your beliefs, whether they be for yourself or your company, are not supporting your goals, you too will be hundreds of miles off course financially. If a pilot doesn't fly by his instruments while in bad weather or in clouds, it could actually mean his life. To this day, pilots still crash because they don't fly by their instruments. One of the reasons for this is what's called vertigo. Vertigo is simply when a pilot becomes very dizzy or disoriented. When a pilot experiences vertigo, he begins to actually fly by his feelings and not by his instruments. As unusual as this may sound, an inexperienced pilot will actually ignore his instruments and fly by his feelings. That's what vertigo will do to a pilot. What a pilot must do is ignore their feelings and fly by their instruments. You must do the same when experiencing mental vertigo. Mental vertigo is caused from the negative thoughts that alter your beliefs. It can cause you to make preconceived negative assumptions toward a customer. In other words, judging a book by its cover. It could be negative influences, maybe perhaps from friends or family, even negative influences from yourself or somebody sitting next to you. Now, when experiencing mental vertigo, you must ignore those feelings and fly by your beliefs. Keep in mind that vertigo can happen instantly. Let me demonstrate to you how quick vertigo can happen to a pilot. And I think you'll agree that in real life or in sales or business, it's no different. In just a moment, I'm going to take a young lady in the airplane with me by the name of Elena. Now, what I'm actually going to do is have her experience vertigo. That's going to be quite simple and a lot of fun. We're going to climb up to 2,500 feet, and once we're there, I'm going to have her close her eyes and put her head down. After that, I'm going to maneuver the aircraft in such a way that the fluid in her inner air will begin to move, and she'll have no idea whatsoever what attitude or what position she's in. Even if she were an experienced pilot, once a pilot is in vertigo, they have no idea what's happening. Vertigo is similar to the feeling that you've had when maybe you were a kid and someone blindfolded you and turned you around and around and around. You couldn't keep your balance after that, could you? Well, once we get to 2,500 feet and I have Elena in vertigo, I'm going to immediately put the aircraft straight and level. Then I'm going to ask her what we're doing. And you'll notice she'll have no idea whatsoever what position the aircraft is in because she's experiencing mental vertigo. Well, let's go ahead and meet her victim. I mean her volunteer. Hey, Elena.
Gary.
You ready for your demonstration?
I'm ready to go flying.
All right, come on, let's go.
Okay, we're just about at 2,500 feet. Now it's time to put Elena in vertigo. Okay, Elena, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, put your head down and close your eyes. Here we go. Okay, Elena, what I want you to do now is tell me what we're doing. Are we going up, down, left, or right? You figure it out.
We're going down to the extreme left.
Okay, look outside.
Oh wow, pretty far up, huh?
That's mental vertigo.
Interesting, isn't it? Mental vertigo can happen instantly if we're not careful. Now, in conclusion, let me share with you a story about a lady who refused to get into mental vertigo. She had a beauty salon and she was charging $20 for a haircut and business was booming. Then all of a sudden the competition moves in across the street and they're charging $6 a haircut. Now she's thinking, what do? I'm charging $20 for a haircut, the competition is charging $6. So what does she do besides getting trapped by mental vertigo? She put a sign in her window that read, "We fix $6 haircuts." She refused to give up, and you will do the same if you don't let anything or anyone rent space in your head.
There, did you enjoy that? Well, thank you. Okay, be honest with me. Show of hands, how many of you in here have ever experienced mental vertigo? Can I see on a show of hands, or maybe two in a couple feet? It happens, doesn't it? Haven't you had a goal before that you felt so sure about? Whether it's to quit smoking, losing weight, increasing your income, and while you're on that journey of success, something happens instantly. You may not be able to identify exactly what it was, but that feeling of confidence you had just yesterday or maybe 5 minutes ago is no longer there. Have you ever experienced that feeling before? I think we all have. What do we call that? We call that being in sales, don't we? Now, the difference between a person who gets a lot of results and a little bit of results is the person who has the ability to eliminate that mental vertigo as quick as they possibly can. And if you're human like I am, I think you would readily agree that that is a lot easier said than done. So this brings us to two questions. Number one, why? Why is it so important not to be controlled by this mental vertigo? And two, how can we prevent ourselves from being controlled by it? So that's going to bring you to your first point on your handout on the top left, where it reads the blank, the higher the blank. Now, if you're like me, I'm one of those people like try to get ahead of myself, you know, and fill in the blanks ahead of time. We had a guy a couple of years ago, and here's what he put down. And by the way, this is not the right answer, but it is kind of funny. For those of you who have a sense of humor, for those of you who don't, I encourage you to get one. He put down, the better the weed, the higher the buzz. Not the answer we're looking for. Dan, you got 3 people in the back are racing right now. No, just kidding. All right, the answer should be the higher the risk, the higher the reward. Fill in the blanks there. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. No question about it, this is a main staple in the thinking of very successful people. Let's go to the next sentence underneath that where it reads, why master? Fill in the blanks here. Why master mental vertigo? Why master mental vertigo? So why is this important? The answer is to the right of it. Let's fill in the sentence. It enables us to take on more risk, which in turn increases our income. It enables us to take on more risk, which in turn increases our income. So ultimately then, if we want to get more results, we often have to take more what, ladies and gentlemen?
Risk.
More risk. But how many times have you meant well, you took the risk, but you mentally tailspin and crashed? Can you relate to that? I think we all can. Now in the video, I shared with you there were 2 things and 2 things only that cause us to have the desired motivation to succeed at anything. Recall what they were. First one started with a V, it was a what? Value. Very good. Put the word value down if you already have it. Now when we talk about value, we are referring to the level of importance you place on something. That's going to bring to you a huge clue in just a moment. Second thing we got to have starts with a B. It's a belief. The fact that you believe that the treasure is there. Psychologically, whether we realize it or not, these are the 2 things and 2 things only that cause us as humans to have the desired motivation to succeed at anything. Now my question to you is, for you to be ultimately successful, can you have one of these things without the other? The answer is no. Let's prove it. If you want to participate, take your finger or thumb and cover up the word value for just a moment. We're going to assume now that you do not have a value on the $100 million worth of treasure, but you do believe that it's there. With that scenario now, would you get up early in the morning, go to bed late at night looking for it? Absolutely not. See, I believe that you've asked yourself a question in your past, and I'm going to make sure after today you never, and I repeat, never ask it again, because I'm going to give you so much clarity you will not have to, and here it is. How is it that you believe, yet you know what you need to do to quit smoking, losing weight, increasing your income, do more prospecting, do more cold calling, but often you can't get yourself to do it? What's the answer? We don't have a high enough what? Value. That's it. Anything else out of that, it's value and belief or excuses. Repeat that nice and loud with me. It's either value, belief, or excuses. See, all the results that you got yesterday, last week, last month, were all dependent upon the amount of what you took. Action. So assuming you believe if you're not happy with your results, the reason you didn't take enough action is you don't have a high enough what? Value. The converse is the same. Let's cover up the word belief now for just a moment. We're going to assume now that you do not believe that the treasure is there. But man, you got a value on the gold. With that scenario now, are you going to get up early in the morning, go to bed late at night looking for it? Absolutely not. End of exercise, bottom line, you cannot have one without the other. So ultimately then, we've got to learn to play games with our mind instead of our mind playing games with us. And when you think about it, isn't business and sales all a mind game? Cold calling, a mind game. Prospecting, a mind game. The challenges that you have balancing your business and your family, these are all mind game. Let me share with you another point on your handout. You take this point to another level, you'll take your mind game to a whole other level. Next point where it reads, for every, fill in the blanks here. For every belief I act on, I get a result. For every belief I act on, I get a result. Now I'm going to be sharing this statement with you quite often. When I get to the word result, nice and loud, stay with me. For every belief I act on, I get a what? Result. All right, I want you to think about a result right now that you're not totally happy with. The quit smoking, the losing weight, the increasing your income. Unfortunately for some people, all 3 of them, hopefully not you. But get a result right now in your life that you're not happy with and you want to change. Now here's the challenge. See, most people focus on trying to change the result. It sounds logical, but frankly it's the most illogical thing that we can do. Let me explain why. Let's say you're here financially, it could be 6 figures for that matter, and you want to go here. What do we often try to focus on? Changing the what? The result, right? Well, how did we get the limited result to begin with, even though it could be 6 figures? It's stemmed from our limited what? Our limited belief. And for every belief we act on, we get a what? Result. Coupled with a high? Very good. Because if you're wishy-washy in your values and beliefs, You're going to be wishy-washy in your results. We call that the yo-yo syndrome, right? You ever seen people over a lifetime, they'll lose and gain 1,000 pounds. People do this in their relationships, back and forth and back and forth. People definitely do this in their finances. You ever seen some people, no matter how little or how much money they make, they barely seem to make ends meet? You ever wonder why that is? They used to treat me as a young person. Can you imagine doing anything like working for 20 or 30 years and not being able to figure it out? If there's anything that you're trying to figure out and change in the last year and you haven't been able to, let me tell you what your problem is. Your wiring stinks. And if you don't change your wiring, you won't change your results. Here's a perfect example how many of us got negatively wired when it comes to our finances. Think back to when we were a teenager and we got our first paycheck. What do most of us as teenagers typically do with our first paycheck? We what? Spend it. What do we usually do with our second paycheck? We spend that too, and if we're not careful, we can literally create that pattern for how long? The rest of our lives. In other words, we'll be active, but active accomplishing nothing. And in fact, to show you how scary this is, ladies and gentlemen, they say a third of the baby boomers barely have $1,000 in their savings. Think about that. So that means if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, and you don't even have that, it's not going to change until we do something with our thinking. We got to make a shift. So that brings us to the next point on your handout. Never, and I repeat, never confuse activity with accomplishment. Never confuse activity with accomplishment. To the right of the word accomplishment, I want you to write 3 initials vertically or up and down. Half of you will fight me and go horizontally. Stay with me, up and down. They are I-P-A. I know it's not alcohol, but I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Here's what IPA means. IPA is income producing activity. Income producing activity. See, if you ever look at your income and you're not happy with it, ladies and gentlemen, don't blame the ex-wife, the ex-dog, the ex-husband, the country music backwards, whatever. Look at your what? Not just yourself, but your income producing activity. See, here's the problem with this. If you're not careful, you'll convince yourself because you've got your logos on and you've got your dress wear on for 12 or 15 hours that you're working for 12 or 15 hours. Trust me, you're not. If I take the average person in business or in sales and I follow them with a stopwatch, I'll bet you out of those 15 hours they might be doing 2 or 3 hours worth of income producing activity. You know what I call that? Pathetic. So do you necessarily need to work more hours? No, it doesn't hurt, but we must do more of what within the hours? Income producing activity. In fact, in our company, when we have things that we need to do, my team will email me or we'll email each other. This is non-income producing activity. So we do it during non-income producing activity hours. Because normally the IPA hours, man, we crush it. We crush it. So when you walk out of here today and you go back home to your businesses, all day long you're going to do 1 or 2 things. You're either going to do income producing activity or you're going to do non-income producing activity. Now, as humans, we like to take the course of least resistance. Which one do you think out of the 2 is the course of least resistance? Non-income producing activity. And if you're not focused on that every single day, you will lean to the non-income producing activity. Then we go to excuse mode and we all know the rest of the story. In fact, give a shameless plug here of one of my books. You can't fillet a nibble. It's the catch that counts. Now, how many of you have ever had a nibble before? Somebody who's interested in your product or services. We all have. Now, especially if it's a big account, here's the problem with nibbles. Nibbles will automatically create false hope. You know what false hope is? Counting your chickens before they hatch. How many of you just got a phone call from somebody who was interested and you're already just planning your commissions and got it spent already, right? Now, here's what happens. If you create false hope, the first thing that you stop or slow down, you know what it is? Income producing activity. Who's guilty of that? I know I am. So here's the problem now. How many of you worked on a deal for weeks or months and it crashes? Now once it crashed and you quit doing the income producing activity, now you're on an emotional roller coaster that is no fun. Who can relate to that? Everybody here knows what that feels like. So in this little book here, I show you how to massively increase your value and belief so you're consistent and take massive action no matter what is happening around you. It's by itself $15. If you get one of my products here, I'll throw it in at no cost. Now I'm not sharing with you anything today, ladies and gentlemen, that's beyond common sense or rocket science. But what I am sharing with you is the ability to have the right mindset. Because if you have the right mindset and you get off of course, and trust me, you're going to, it's called life. With the right mindset, you'll be able to get on course a lot quicker. So here's the fun part for me. I'm going to share with you some mindsets that I believe many of you have bought into all of your life that I know for a fact are not working for you. mindsets that maybe you got from your parents, maybe from books, maybe from some other people. And I'm not here to discredit anybody, but I am here to share with you a principle that I refer to as UCS. Now, when I tell you what UCS is, you might chuckle a little bit, but I'm also going to tell you there's a very powerful psychological reason why we as very intelligent people sometimes don't use UCS. So what's UCS? UCS is use common sense. Yeah, there's no college for this one. Now, here's what's interesting. Here's sometimes why we don't use common sense. Very powerful. See, if you're not careful, if you find somebody that's richer than you are, or somebody like myself that is on TV or has books, in your mind, you will place a higher status on them than perhaps they deserve. And then if you're not careful, you will listen to everything they say, and then if you're not careful, you will be a sheep to the slaughter. Don't think you're an exception. Centuries of years ago, just about everybody on this planet used to believe that the earth was. One person chose to disagree. It changed the way we look at the world today. Cult leader Jim Jones took nearly 1,000 people. That's a lot of people. 1,000 intelligent people to their death because they bought into his potassium cyanide Kool-Aid. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you some figurative x-rays. Each x-ray is going to represent a belief. I'm going to show you what to look for in those beliefs. And then when I'm done and out of here, you can determine if this Gary Coxe guy makes a lot of sense or he's full of caca. Now, if you go to a doctor and a doctor tells you you have a terminal illness, common sense should dictate to us that we get a second what? Opinion. So all I'm asking from you today is allow me to please be your second opinion. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right, but nor on the other hand doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wrong. Fair enough? Yeah. See, everybody in this room today, whether you realize it or not, you give power to something or someone. You either give power to God, you give power to alcohol, food, nicotine, thoughts, emotions, feelings. There are no exceptions in this room, myself included. In fact, true case, I knew of a lady in Texas. She was proposed to by a gentleman, and a couple days before they were to marry, he died. On the following year, on the day that he proposed to her, she committed suicide. Why? She gave power to a day. A day. What are you giving power to? If you say you want better health, if you say you want to make more money, if you say you want better relationships, what are you giving power to that's either slowing you down or stopping you in your tracks? Because whether we want to admit it or not, we're all giving power to something or someone. Here's an idea of how you do that. You've heard this before, right? Time heals all wounds. Have you heard that? Who comes up with that nonsense? Time doesn't heal all wounds. We do. Now, if you want to wait on time to heal all wounds, you're going to be waiting a long time. Now, how can a little change in your thinking like that make a difference for you? Let me share with you how it did for me. Now, as I shared with you earlier, my wife was cheating on me. What I did not share with you is that she was cheating on me with one of my employees that happened to be 15 years of age. How does that work for you, ego? Then I found out where in town it happened. Now, do you think when I needed to get around town, I was able to whisk by that location, or do you think I probably gave power to it and ran around it? I unfortunately gave power to it and went around it, but only once. Why once? Because I was blessed to learn early in my life that time does not heal all wounds. We do. So what did I do? I did the opposite. I shot the sucker. No. Trust me, I thought about it. I figured it'd better have my freedom than be in jail, right? So no, I drove by that location and I cried. Back and cried and forth and cried and back and cried and forth and cried till I knocked it out of my system. Why? Because time does not heal all wounds. We do. Here's another one you buy into if you're not careful. This is the one in your worst times of your life. Your closest of friends, meaning well, will come up to you and say something really stupid like this. What doesn't kill you will make you... Who comes up with that nonsense? You know, in the years that I've been doing this, what I learned? What doesn't kill you can make you an alcoholic. And I shared with you earlier, some people commit suicide, yes or yes? Yeah! So the truth of the matter is what does not kill you will make you stronger only if you allow it. Here's another one. This is the one in the personal growth field you have to be very careful of. We've been programmed to believe it takes how many days to change a bad habit or behavior? What have you heard out there? 21. 21, 30, probably heard 21 the most. And again, who comes up with that? 21 days to change a bad habit or behavior. Here's the bottom line. It may take you 21 days or 21 years to decide to make the change, but once your what and what changes, value and belief change happens when? Instantly. I know a gentleman who wanted to quit smoking cigarettes. He had a challenging time until one day he looks over to the hallway of his house, sees his 3-year-old bad daughters in her bedroom pretending to smoke a crayon. He quit smoking instantly. What's the point? The point is no matter what level of motivation you're at, habit, behavior, or addiction, the possibility exists that there's something out there that can change it that quickly. Let me do another demonstration. You mind if I hold this cup right here? Okay. What is your name? Melbourne. All right, so we're going to pretend this is a cup of water, and let's say you have $1,000 in your pocket. Now, how many of you in here would be willing to pay $1,000 for a cup of water? Probably wouldn't have too many takers. Now, watch this. Same cup of water, same $1,000 in your pocket. Watch how things change quickly this time. Except for this time, your head is on fire. You both saved $1,000. You're good. Have a sense of humor. What's the point? The point is no matter what level of motivation you're at, habit, behavior, addiction, the possibility exists that there's something out there that can change it that quickly. Let me find somebody else just to give you an idea how easily we are programmed. May I ask your name, sir? Aaron, I'll put you on the spot, no brainer. Aaron, do me a favor, tell me the month and the date in that month that you were born, Aaron. Month and date.
May 10th.
May 10th. And Aaron, how do you know that? You were told that. Sure. Could it be wrong?
Could be, yeah.
Check this out, true story. After one of my events, a guy comes up to me. He's one of 8 siblings. He says, Gary, funny you say this. He began to tell me he is one of 8 siblings. He had just come back from his family's reunion, and they realized after 40 years they've been celebrating one of their brother's birthdays on the wrong day. Be careful what you believe. Now here's another question for Aaron. Notice it's a very simple question with a very simple answer. Notice the possible hesitation to this very simple question. Aaron, how do you know who your parents are?
Again, I was told.
Again, he was told. That's pretty much true. Because there's only one way to know who our parents are. It's a what test? A DNA test. Now, Aaron could come up to me and say, Gary, but here's a picture of my mama, my daddy, my whole family tree. I look just like them. Trust me on this one. With 7 billion people on this planet, there's somebody out there who looks like you, your mama, and everybody else in your family tree. Now, I'm not encouraging when we break here if your parents are still alive. If you really my parents, this guy is screwing with my head. But what I'm getting at is watch what you buy into. That you can't succeed to another level because there's this type of competition, or you're from another country, or you're black or white, or I have no education, or like this one, I can't lose weight because I'm big boned. Watch what you believe. Here's another one you have to be careful of. This is the one that a lot of people screw up in their finances. You'll see some people, they have this belief, I can't afford it. Do you realize that every time you say you can't afford it, if you're not careful, you begin to lower your financial standard, so much so that you will literally see people out there driving around, spending $5 in gasoline, looking for a gas station to save 5 cents on a gallon of gas. Are you kidding me? Here's what it amounts to, ladies and gentlemen. In business, especially in business, and in your finances, you've got 2 choices. One, you can be always over here cutting corners, trying to shave money all the time. Or you can be over here, always trying to stretch. Where do you think most people are? You think they're here or over there? They're over there. Why are most people not here? Because they don't have a high enough what and what? Value and belief. And anything outside of that is in a what? Excuse. So think about that. Do you make it a way of life to stretch financially? Now keep in mind, you have problems in both categories. You're going to have problems over here. You can have complaining over here. Over here you have another problem, but this problem is a solution. How do I make it happen? How do I make it happen? I had an accountant come to me some time ago and says, Gary, the numbers aren't good. We need to cut you spending this. We need to cut you spending this. I said, stop you right there. That's not how we play the game here. What do you mean? Here's how we play the game. We raise our game. So we keep the bills, we raise our game. See, if you do it the other way around, what happens is, it's just like a snake constricting somebody. Once that snake is around you and it squeezes you once, you take a breath out. Once you take a breath out, what's it do again? Squeezes you again. And then what happens again? And again and again. This is what happens when you shrink and shrink and shrink. It's the easy way, but it's not the fulfilling way. Because when you're over here stretching financially, there's nothing more that makes you feel fulfilled than growing and stretching. And this is what this is, and this is where you need to be. So think about that. Think about the investments that you have to make to get to that next level. And every one of you who are successful in any area in life, I guarantee you, you made a stretch. You probably forgot about how painful the stretch was. And you forgot about all the fears that you had, and you did it anyway. Boom, you got to the next level. Some of you remember some of those because they were very painful, but you wouldn't be here because of what you just did. So that's pretty awesome. So it makes a lot of sense. Another thing that we want to continue with is the next point on your handouts where you see the number 1. Fill in the blanks here. The law of inertia. That is spelled I-N-E-R-T-I-A. I-N-E-R-T-I-A. To the right of the word inertia is the following statement. Fill in the blanks here. Things that move want to keep moving. Things that move want to keep moving.
Now, I believe this is a very powerful statement. I'd like to help you ingrain it into your mind. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to say it loud, twice, out loud, simultaneously, and be very enthusiastic while we're doing it. All right, here we go. Things that move. No, we're going to pretend to be alive and enthusiastic. Let's try it again. Here we go. Things that move, want to keep moving. One more time. Things that move, want to keep moving. Does it say it has to move fast, yes or no? No, all it says is just got to keep moving. So friends, if you, like me at times, have to be on bloody knees at 0.0001 miles an hour, then technically that's still okay because we're still moving. I think sometimes we leave it, that's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? Now let's go to number 2. Number 2, you must be on a constant, not a once in a while, but a constant pursuit of excellence and self-improvement. A constant improvement. So are you? Do you religiously listen to or read something on a regular daily basis that enhances not only your life, but those around you? If you're not, you're cheating both of you. They say the average person in a year reads 1 book a year. That's pathetic. The average corporate Fortune 500 CEO up to 4 books a month. So yet if we say that we want to have more success, is our behavior in harmony with what we say? And by the way, for those of you who barely read 1 book a year, you'll notice that the nibble book is not very thick. It might be a good place for you to get started for 15 bucks. Just saying. All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3, don't let others rent space in your head. Don't let others rent space in your head. That's the title of another one of my books. Now, a great example of this is Richard Branson. Most of you have heard of Richard Branson. I had an opportunity to meet him not long ago. Awesome guy. He's Virgin Atlantic Airways, Virgin Records, right? And check this out if you haven't heard. He recently purchased not 1, not 4, but 5 spaceships. I feel a little odd just sharing that with you. Now, why did he buy 5 spaceships? He's bought 5 spaceships because he's made it a goal to put you into a spaceship, take you to a hotel, by the way, that doesn't exist in where? Space! Now, do you think when he came up with this idea, some of you probably thought he was a little cuckoo? Sure. But do you realize he already has people right now in line paying him $200,000 a head? And guess how long the line is? I have heard rumors of up to 40,000 people. That will make your calculator break. That is in the T's and the trillions of dollars. Now, a question for you. Do you think he could make something like this happen as he is doing now, not 100 years from now, when the stars are aligned and everything is perfect, if he let other people rent space in his head? No. Question for you. Where would you be? What would you have? And to me, more importantly, how would you think differently if you didn't let anything, any past bad relationship, loss of a loved one, emotional, physical, sexual abuse, or any other negative thought of your past, rent space in your head? That's huge. Now, I'll admit it, I'm human like everybody in this room, and when there's times I let things rent space in my head from time to time, but the degree or how much space you have available for rent depends entirely upon who? Some of you are still making excuses and blaming me. What I say about excuses? No, I know what you mean. It depends on us. And you know what's crazy? We can have 100 great tenants, and if we're not careful, 1 bad tenant, we can forget all 99 of those tenants. So here's something else that you have to learn to master to have so much more success and happiness in your life. When last have you distinguished the difference between being a leader of your feelings or a slave to them? Think about that. Every moment you're consciously awake, what percentage of that time would you say you truly lead your feelings, or are you a slave? See, when we feel sad, what do we have a tendency to do? When we feel sad, we act what? Sad, right? When we feel happy, we act happy. Now, what I'm about to share with you, I think you will agree with me, is a lot easier said than done. When we feel sad, we should try to act happy. Why is that so difficult? The answer I'm about to give you is perhaps the most powerful clue I can share with you in helping you master your behavior, and here it is. Anytime, and I repeat, anytime you try to do anything opposite of how you feel, you're going to feel as if you're lying. And hopefully, when we were younger, our parents taught us not to lie. So when you get to an emotional or a mental crossroad in your minds with a fear of failure, fear of success, rejection, anger, cold calling, jealousy, it's all the same, we'll have a tendency to take the course of least resistance. Now, do you know what the course of least resistance is when we experience a negative feeling or an emotion? And trust me on this one, if you don't, It will control you instead of you controlling it. So then what is the course of least resistance when we experience a negative feeling or an emotion? Unfortunately, it is to reward it. The very worst thing that we can do. So then why do we keep doing it if in fact we do not push through it, knowing if we did, we'd get a lot more results? Well, the answer is the odds are not in our favor. Here's why. When we were born, what's the first thing that we start to do? We start to cry, right? So when we're hungry, we cry. When we go to the bathroom, my first line, then we cry. Now, how often do we do this? Day after day, month after month, year after year, we're a total slave to our feelings. Now, here's where it gets scary. We've been told that the most impressionable part of our lives as a human is typically the first 5 years. Do you realize that if that is true, that you spend nearly half or more than half of the most impressionable part of your life being a total slave to your feelings? So if you ever wonder why it's so challenging to lead them, now you have an idea. You know, they say that in the next 3 to 5 years, the second leading cause of death is, anybody know? Suicide. Think about that. Suicide. I put a video out not too long ago, suicide, are you immune? There has to be somebody in this room that's going through a lot of emotional pain. But I'm here to tell you, if you learn to put your head right, and it's not the easiest thing always, but it can be done quicker than you think, you've got to make sure you've got your ducks in a row because you do not know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. And if your life isn't filled with hope and purpose, something can change your game very, very quickly. So let's say we get a little older, maybe in our teenage years. Maybe our parents get divorced. That causes us some challenges. Maybe you are a victim of emotional, physical, or even sexual abuse. When you get older, like myself, you get married, your wife tells you your baby really isn't yours and all the crazy crap that happened to me, and no doubt you've had some crazy crap happen to you. Would you be willing to admit if we're not careful, we could take that baggage with us day in and day out? Sure. Would you also be willing to admit if we're not careful that baggage could affect our personal relationships at home, those here with our fellow colleagues, and also our finances? No doubt about that. And the way to prove that, a great example, unfortunately, would be Tiger Woods, right? Before his shenanigans, he was number 1. Do you see how many years it's taken him? He's not even close. Why? Let me tell you why, and I'll tell you why I think I know what the answer is, because it could be the same thing that could be slowing you down, even though you're doing very well. It's because his emotional hard drive is too filled up. It's kind of like your computer's hard drive. You ever been on your computer before and you're typing away and for whatever reason it responds really slow or sometimes it doesn't respond at all? Well, one of the reasons it's doing that is we've got too much stuff stuck in the what? In the hard drive. Now, how does it happen? We do it every day and we don't even realize that we're doing it, and here's how you do it. You ever gone online before, you see a PDF you want to download, you click it once, and if you get like me, get a little impatient, so what do you do now? Double click it. Do you realize that you've literally downloaded that 3 times? Now imagine doing this for 3 or 4 months or a couple of years. Do you think in time your computer's hard drive is going to fill up with a bunch of unnecessary junk? No doubt. Our emotional hard drives, ladies and gentlemen, works the exact same way. See, if you, like me, had something happen to you negative that maybe when you were 5 years old, 5 years ago or 5 days ago, every time you relive that negative emotion, take us what we're doing. We're packing more stuff in our emotional hard drive. Now, let me ask you another question. Do you think anybody really needs to teach Tiger Woods how to be a better player? I mean golf player, not player. He does both well, but you know what I mean. Now, my point here is, I believe most of you in this room, if not all of you, know what you need to do to get to the next level, but one of the things that could be slowing you down is you might have too many things stuck in your emotional hard drive. So I invite you to learn to purge and clean that out, because if you don't, I don't care if you're at a $50,000 level, a 6-figure level, or a Tiger Woods 8, 9-figure level, you're going to feel like you're pushing a parked car, active, but active accomplishing nothing. Now, as we're wrapping up here, how many of you here, as you're taking notes and listening to me attentively, and you are really focused, and I really, really appreciate that, how many of you have been able to identify maybe just 1 or 2 things that if you brushed up on just a little bit, it can make a huge difference not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life? Show of hands, I think most of us would agree with that. And the next thing is, once you identify these things, what do you want to do with them? You want to get rid of them right away, or you want to hang on to them for a couple of years? Then hanging on to them for a couple of years, that's way too painful. It's kind of like driving down the road late one night, and you come up to a stop sign, and you look around, there's nobody there, so instead of stopping, you decide to creep on through. 30 seconds later, you look in the rearview mirror, what do you see? You're right, there's the lights, the heart's beating. Police officer, he pulls you over and he says to you, do you realize that you didn't stop, you just slowed down? And you look at the officer, come on officer, stop or slow down, what's the difference? He says, let me show you the difference. He has you step out of the car, he gets out his baton, he starts hitting you on the head with it over and over, and he says, now, would you like me to stop? Or slow down? There's a big
So what we've got to learn to do is what? Stop as opposed to slowing down. So real quickly to wrap up here, by the way, that's been over an hour gone by already. Is that crazy? That's nuts. That's fast. Just about an hour. All right. So do you give me permission to show you some of my programs? Can I do that real quickly? All right. So here's what I've got. I have my total success package right here. All right. Now it's a little deceiving because it looks like you're going to get all these in CDs. We have converted everything from CDs to audio downloads. So everything you're really going to get is an audio download, with the exception if you get this product, I get you the nibble book right now today, and then by end of day tomorrow, you will end up, or by Monday, you'll end up with all your audio downloads of the program. So what do you get in this program? You get my book, Don't Let Others Rent Space in Your Head, and audio downloads. My program on persistence, what does it really mean? And if you want to learn what it means to be persistent, ask Dan Brown if he thinks I'm persistent. When we used to work together, my gosh, I wore the poor guy out. Mastering the art of follow-through. Ladies and gentlemen, the fortune is in the what? The fortune is in the follow-up. Say it with me. The fortune's in the what? Follow-up. 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th attempt. Why are you not doing more than that if you're not? Why are you stopping? Why do people stop at 2 or 3? You know why? They got a little story in their head that goes like this. If I call them again, maybe I'll be bugging them. If I call them too early, what if I... And then you make this stuff up, and then your sales go down. And then the other person who's your competitor who gets this, they're taking money off your plate. Watch out. I'll show you how to create a massive mindset for this. The other one is lose fat, stay full, never quit. Ladies and gentlemen, your diet is so important to your success. For example, if you had a thoroughbred horse in your backyard that you owned, it was $1 million horse, how would you feel if your neighbors felt to come over and give it potato chips and marshmallows and give it junk food? Be pretty ticked off? Do you know if you croaked right now, your body parts are worth $250,000? Put some oxygen in you and you're worth millions. So my point here is, I believe that the better you take care of yourself, it shows how much you love yourself. Not to mention, if you want to do more income-producing activity, you need energy to do that. If you want to raise your game and do more IPA, you cannot do this without energy and the mindset. So I share with you my diet, how I eat, how I keep the energy that I do. I also throw in the selling advantage or something comparable. I throw in my self-esteem, discovering the perfect you. This is a program where I share with you my 4-step process that I use to change negative thinking and negative behavior patterns. The same process that you saw me work with the lady on stage, that's what I did in a simplified form on video. All right? This program retails all of this for $2,133. While I'm on this promotional tour here, I'm offering it for $489 for all of this. Not to mention, I'm going to throw in a $1,000 gold membership program, absolutely free, for the first 30 days. You get an audio and a text message from me once a week to kind of help keep you out of vertigo, keep you on track. You get access to me interviewing millionaires and billionaires, programs on relationships and health. If you decide to cancel within 30 days, it costs you nothing. And if you want to keep it after that, a whopping $19.99 a month. And you can cancel it in a month, a year, whatever you want, right? Then the other program I have is other audio programs, but it's just a smaller package for, it does not include the Mastering the Art of Follow-Through. So if you take your handout over, by the way, turn it over to the back, you might want to write down $489 on the top, because that was the first program. On the top left, maybe, write $489. And then underneath that is this program, and that retails for $15.92. I offer it for $249 for all that, and I'll still throw in my Millionaire Mentor program as well. But here's something that I'm very excited. Now, I know a lot of you are not from the area, so you can't come. I have people flying from all over, but you can or may not. You can get the products if you want. It's my Stay in Condition live event here in Tampa on November the 13th. This is not a motivational pump-up rah-rah program. This is a program that you will literally witness and watch interventions and transformations. I don't care what the challenge is that you have, I will show you how to break through that. I've had challenges. One event, I had one lady who'd been stabbed 18 times by her ex-boyfriend. You think she's got some stuff stuck in her emotional hard drive? Minnesota, I did an event there. One lady had been raped at gunpoint with a serial killer. Screwed her up for 30 years until she came to my event. One session with me live in front of everybody, her life has changed. So let's say you don't have anything that challenging. Don't you still want to grow and get to the next level? And it takes strategies to do that. So there's 3 things that would prevent you from taking advantage of this program. Number 1 might be your time. What's the most valuable use of your time? Well, only you can answer that. But if I said on your way out, I'm going to give everybody a free ticket, I think some of you would be interested in taking one of these, yes? The second thing is dollars and cents. What's it worth it to you? Well, I believe that's the best part. This for the VIP access, which you get VIP seating, and then also VIP dinner. We are offering this for only $397 for the entire program, for the entire event. If you'd like to get everything minus the VIP privileges, you're only looking at an investment of $249, and I'll still throw in the Millionaire Mentor Program for either one of the tickets. And as I shared with you earlier, companies are paying me up to $25,000 for a couple hours of my time. You've got me for the whole day for as low as $249. Think about that. And you know, if you break this up into a month, it's like equivalent to a cheap Subway sandwich. How many of you got to lunch at least once a week? I know I do. And the question becomes, what do you want to do with that lunch money? You want to put it in your belly, or you want to put it in your mind? Benjamin Franklin is America's first self-made millionaire. He said, empty the coins from your purse into your mind, and your mind will fill your purse with coins and keep it full. Then there's a third reason that may prevent you from taking advantage of this program. Will it work for you? Let me give you an idea. Here's a lady who says, you just don't go to this program to get motivated, go home, be the same person. If you go to the event, do the processes, you will be changed as a result. If you're not local, Lee flew in from Phoenix, changed our lives. One lady went to my 2-day event in Dallas. This one in Tampa is 1 day. She says, it is not something I can explain to you. You would have to experience it yourself. Why does she say that? It is very difficult for you to explain to somebody where you literally watch somebody transform their lives. In fact, I'm going to share with you a quick video of a lady, and if you've ever thought you had some challenges like I do, right? Watch and listen to this lady and what happened to her.
I lost my youngest son to a robbery. The guy put a sawed-off shotgun on his stomach, pulled the trigger. 2 years later, I lost my second son to Operation Iraqi Freedom. He had gone, come back, was on his way to go again, and was a felony hit and run. I was just struggling. I had nowhere to go. And I got up on the stage and talked to Gary, and he helped me to see my purpose and what I was supposed to do with my life, and it just transformed me. And now, everything is just going great. I'm not only writing a book, telling the story about my 2 boys, but I went down, I jumped with the Golden Knights out of an airplane. They put my boys' names on my hands. I was close to having a friend with them. You need to come to this event and see what Gary can do, the magic he performs. He does transformations. He takes people who are broken, he puts them back together again. He finds your purpose, he gives you hope. Unbelievable. You've got to come to this event.
So that's a major example, and not people that come to my events just are broken, and we also have people who are multimillionaires, people who just like yourselves who want to grow and just get to the next level. So there you have it in conclusion. Let's see here. So if you decide to get the $489 package and want to come to the event, I will take an additional $100 off of each one of the tickets as well, okay? And so you've got $489 and then the other package, and if you'd like to get one of the tickets, it's either $397 or $249. And if you turn your handouts to the back there, you'll see the registration form. You can let me know. I'll be in the back with some of my programs and my books. You can let me know which program that you'd like. I'll get them to you today. And Dan, not to put you on the spot, but would you mind sharing with your colleagues the importance of investing in themselves?
Well, yeah, you know, when I told him yesterday, Gary came here, you know, I told him about our budget, and I said, you have some great content. We believe in ongoing learning here, just like our other vendors. Bring your stuff. You want to present it to them. It's cafeteria stuff. So we just wanted to give you something to leave with. A lot of our companies, we don't have training. There's some useful books. Worst case, if you like some of the stuff he said, he gave some, let's give him a, he really worked hard. And he didn't get paid. He used to get paid a lot of money. He came here for free. I said, there's some, you really gave it 110%. So if I had that kind of energy, you know, I'm leaving here with something. So if you can leave here, if you like what he had to say, I'll be back there, just, you know, get something from him, take it away. That's his payment for being here for CoCard. That's the CoCard way. Great job, Gary. Let's give him another hand. Gary.